Welcome to the second session of Mindful Mondays with me, Dhyan. In the last session, we discussed about the goal-oriented approach of our work, and we said that this goal-oriented approach is one-dimensional. The only dimension that we right now focus on is monetary value. And we question whether this one-dimensional approach is creating a purpose in life, is satisfying, is it creating misery or blissfulness? So we explored this aspect of our work. Today I would like to invite you to not just focus on the goal, but move from goal to the process. In ancient wisdom traditions, there is a lot of talk about putting the goal as secondary and the process as primary. What does this mean? What does this mean to be focused more on the process and not really care about the goal? Is this mere philosophy, or is this something that we can bring into our daily lives? In order to introspect into the journey of our work, which has whatever goal, ask yourself, are you driven by fear or greed? Or is there something else that you're driven by? A lot of people are simply acting out of fear because they fear of losing something that they have. It could be their job, their security, and whatever they are providing for their families, for themselves, and so on. So the mere act out of this fear of losing is such a misery that no joy, no real value can come out of this for yourself. And no matter how long you work, how much money you make, you will see that the experience remains incomplete. The taste of it will always be unsatisfactory. Same is with the other driver, which is greed. If in the process of focusing on making money, we just simply get caught up with more and more of greed to make more, I think we again lose the very purpose of why we are doing what we are doing, and kind of we fall for a sickness of this more and more, which is known as greed. Sometimes there is also a joy in it, a pleasure in it of achieving more and more, and that's what keeps us high on this greed as our driver. But if you carefully analyze, if you are on that kind of a run, has this been fulfilling in the ways that it should be fulfilling? Is this all what you expect out of your work, out of all that you put into your entire life? If not, it is time to become mindful of what drives you and see, is there something that can be not greed, can be not fear, but still becomes an active driver in your daily work, in your daily life. Essentially, what I'm asking you is to move from the head towards the heart. Exploring your heart, which means exploring what's your passion, what's your emotion, what is it that you care about? Are you actually doing things based on what you think is right, or are you doing it purely from a fear and a greed standpoint? So that stance has to move from the mind, which is purely focused on greed and fear, to your heart, which is giving you that creative opening into yourself, into bringing out what you actually care about. Now the question is, beyond philosophies, can this be practiced? Can this be practiced in the existing framework of work that you have? The answer is that this change requires both change on an individual level and also on the collective level of how we are organized. if the framework that we work for is only allowing you to just be goal oriented and there is no room for your experience, your journey, I think we can never come out of the misery. And no matter how much we change ourselves on the individual level, we will remain in this, we will remain caught up in this system, in this framework for the major part of our life. So this change has to happen both on an individual level, where we become mindful of what drives us beyond fear and greed, and also trying to see if there is a possibility to change the framework and incorporate these values into the framework in itself. So I invite you to explore and introspect, what is your true driver? Can there be a true driver beyond fear and greed for yourself? For the beginning, if you become more mindful of your heart, what is it in your heart that you care about? What can drive you beyond the goal in itself? I think that's a start which we all need as an individual. And then we move on to collective organization, how we are organized, and can we translate these individual drivers which are not coming out of the mind, out of the fear and the greed, but rather out of the heart into our organizations. With that thought, I leave you with a lovely Monday. See you in the next session next Monday.